There's been a lot of drama surrounding the San Francisco 49ers for their 5-6 record, but also a guy who seems to be in the middle of it all right now, or just might feel that way, is Deebo Samuel. Like Deebo's getting crucified for how he's played this year and obviously some drops that he had against the Green Bay Packers. Just a lot of fans are piling on right now and even went as far to have Terrell Owens, one of the 49ers greats, take a shot at Deebo Samuel, or so it seemed, when he joined 95.7 The Game, to mention something about his wardrobe. I'll play the clip right here in a second, but we also had Deebo respond to this and say that, me and Tio have talked, and I'll let you hear from Deebo himself as well. So this was the original clip, and then we're going to hop into what Deebo's response has been since then.
Deebo is not really playing up to Deebo standards. Deebo is seems like he's more focused on his pregame attire than he is actually the game. So again, if we can shift that focus, maybe that can energize and create some more production, from an offensive standpoint. I'm just kind of tongue in cheek with that.
All right, so you heard that. We're now going to listen to what Deebo Samuel had to say on his podcast on Bleacher Report, and then we'll have a conversation about it because I think T.O. did make an indication there that we just kind of skipped past. But let's take a listen to what Deebo had to say and talking about their conversation, and we'll react to it on the other side.
Or whatever, but there's a lot of outside noise. I saw you went back and forth a little bit with T.O. on social media. He had some things to say. He feels like you care more about your game day outfits than you do the game.
Yeah, I talked to me and T.O. had a phone call after that as well. Talking to him, it was just what do you call it, cheeks and giggles. He was like, he said he made a joke out of it, but the media blew it out of proportion. And I kind of understood where he came from because a lot of stuff that us athletes say or other people say, they kind of take a little glimpse of things that we say and try to flip it. But me and T.O., we had a conversation. It was cool. He was cool about it. I was cool about it. Wasn't no issue there. So at the end of the day, we cool for sure.
Did you get to talk to him a little bit about some of your, just about the season and some of your frustrations? Obviously, you don't have to tell us what you talked about, but
a little bit.
You may understand some of that to an extent.
A little bit, but not too much. He stated that he didn't watch too much a lot of ball like he used to, so he kind of catch it here and there. So he was just like, man, we still have all the tools to flip stuff around and. We still right where we want to be. He actually called me this morning and we talked it a little bit as well.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that doesn't make the headlines. Nobody knows that you guys already squashed it.
Yeah, we cool.
I love it.
It ain't for everybody to know. I mean, it ain't gonna change nothing.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
So they squashed it. They've talked multiple times since that situation happened. And honestly, I had to go back and listen to it. If you go back and listen to T.O. at the very end, he says, I'm being tongue in cheek. And I think he was basically saying like he was kind of, just talking, right? He didn't necessarily mean it, but obviously, as we know in today's age of getting clipped and getting quoted, and articles and YouTube videos and all of those things, and all the shows and podcasts, you have to be very intentional with what you say, especially when you're a prominent figure, because that's what's going to happen. You're going to get clipped, you're going to get quoted, and the tongue-in-cheek part wasn't super clear to what he was saying, but I think when you listen to Deebo Samuel talk about his conversation with T.O., and they were like, man, he was just like, I was just talking, and I even said that in the thing, and I was like, yeah, he did say that. So it is what it is. I think it's cool that they were able to have a conversation. I think it was cool that they were able to squash whatever that was, because obviously you had Deebo Samuel respond on Twitter about it as well. So clearly it impacted Deebo enough for him to have a response to it. So those guys talked about it. They moved past it. I also like what Deebo said, how this was recorded yesterday. He said they had talked that morning even. So who knows? Maybe it sparked a relationship between the two that maybe they didn't have prior to this. I'm glad they're both adults about it, and they can move forward. And I think athletes got to stick together, especially in this climate and environment where everyone's trying to get clicks and views off their name and what they have to say. And so I think it is important for those guys to stay, locked in, have each other's back. It's okay to be critical. It's okay to, give a critique and your opinion. But of course, you want to make sure you're doing it respectfully. And I think that's just where the boundaries are. And I think that's where the hard part of, the landscape that we live in is, I think there's a lot of people going overboard with, getting away from critique and just getting into straight up criticism. And, I think critique is valid. I think when you're talking about these players, they're critiqued on a daily basis. No one's critiquing them harder than their coaches, than their, people inside their rooms. And probably themselves. They're probably their own biggest, critics. So I think we can all, objectively say Deebo hasn't played that well this year. I think we can all objectively say kind of looks like Deebo's lost a step a little bit. He's not as explosive. The vision that we've seen, from his wide back role doesn't look like it was in years past. And that doesn't mean that he can't be that. Doesn't mean he can't, get it back on track and go on a run here in the last 6 weeks. It's just what we've seen and what we've observed up until this point. And I think they're all valid. And that's what T.O.'s saying. And I'm sure if you ask Deebo himself about his performance, he probably wouldn't say it's been his best year either. So it is what it is. We don't have to be a-holes about it. We can just talk about it. We could be objective and just be like, yeah, it is what it is. He's not having a great season. I'm sure he would want to have a better season and he would want to play better. I'm sure he wanted to make those catches against Green Bay. He's got to. And of course, he's under a lot of heavy scrutiny, especially since the scuffle and all that stuff. And, he's become a bit of a punching bag for some of the 49ers issues up until this point. But, that's part of the territory. So I'm just glad to hear that T.O. and him have squashed it. They've been able to move on, and it is what it is. It is what it is at the end of the day. So let me know what you guys think about this whole situation. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.
Your 2024 San Francisco